Hey guys, and welcome back to another video in a dark and dingy day in the UK. Today what I want to do is actually try out these two chain checkers that I've just picked up. One is an X-Tools cheapo, basic thing that you just slip into the chain, and it's got two measurements on it. The other is a Park CC2 chain checker, and it's got different degrees. To be honest, I've never really checked a chain before for wear. I've just tended to replace it as and when. This one that's currently on my road bike at the moment is going to be replaced today because it is definitely well beyond the wear limits. But according to the instructions on this Park tool, basically you've got percentages of wear on here, so it will start off at 0% and then it can read up to 1%. For single speed chains, and which will also be used for 3 speeds as well, you can have up to 1% wear before you should replace the chain. For 5 to 9 speed chains it can show apparently 0.75%, and then you need to replace the chain. And for 10 and 11 and 12 speed chains you can apparently only have 0.5% of wear before it's recommended that you replace the chain. Now I know this chain on the bike that I've got in front of me is well beyond that wear limit because I've used it for thousands of miles, and changing it within the limits you might be able to get away with not replacing the sprocket, the cassette, but taking it to the limit I have, you definitely need to replace this, because the more wear you have on your cassette or your freewheel, you're definitely going to have to change it, because the teeth get worn to the shape of the chain, they like mesh together. And then if you put a new chain on an old cassette, it just won't mesh and you'll get skipping and skipping and skipping. And I've tried that before and it sucks. So let's measure this chain. Okay, so this is the Peugeot, and it's got an 8-speed chain on it. It is very mucky. I tend to use this bike and abuse it, so it gets dirty, and it still is. But this is your X-Tools checker. You've got little hooks at the back here that you just slot into the chain, and the one at the front here you try and slip down the front. In theory, if this is a new chain, it shouldn't have either of these go in, so none of those should go in, but I know this is worn, so it's recommended that if this side went in, which is 0.75%, then you should replace the chain. If this side goes in, which is at 1% wear, you definitely need to replace that chain. So let's go 0.75 first. Now where have I got it in the camera view? So you lock it into the back there, you bring it down, and that goes straight in. It should be stopping against this pin here, this front pin. It should be stopping there, but there's so much wear in there, it's gone straight through. So flipping it over, 1% wear, again also goes straight through. Now I know what you're thinking, this chain should have been done a long time ago, and it should have. I've got no excuse for that really. So what basically happens is the chain isn't physically stretching. These links aren't getting longer or anything. It's the pins between them. All these pins, they are wearing down slightly with all these rollers, all the movement of constantly sort of rotating around. They're just going to wear slightly, bit by bit by bit, and there's going to be a bit of play in between them. But I can feel the play in between that one link there. So the more that gets in between the links, the longer, in theory, well not in theory, in practice, the chain gets. Now I'm not going to try the park tool. Well, okay, let's show you the park tool. So this is the park tool. So you just do the same thing, you slot it in, that gone in, and then what you do is just push this gauge in, and it should stop and tell you where your chain is worn, but mine, because it's so worn, just goes right to maximum and stops. So we're going to switch up the bike a minute just to show you what a good chain should look like. Okay, so now this chain is on the Diamondback Ascent that I've just made. It's a brand new chain. It is an 8-speed chain, so it should have minimal wear on it because it's only covered, I don't know, less than 50 miles. So let's try the X tools first. So you slot that in the back. There we go. So this is on the 1%, and it won't go in. Can I zoom in on that? Whoop. Angle it a bit more. Okay. Okay, so I'm not really putting any pressure on that at all, and the 1% is not going in, which is good because it's a brand new chain. The 0.75, again, I'm not forcing that because you shouldn't, and the 0.75 does not go into that link. It goes in a little bit, but it won't go in all the way. So if you get the posh checker out, park, so you can see the numbers on there, and if that slots in between there, you've just got to push it lightly. Oh, it's stopped already. No, has it? There we go. So that's gone through, and I can't really see what that is reading because it's so dark, but I think it's between 0.25 and 0.5. Let me just get my torch out. Yeah, okay. So in that window, you can just about see it is between the 0.25 and the 0.5, which is good because it's a new chain. And in the instructions it actually says there is a bit of play in the links to start with before they start to wear. Instructions of this, by the way. So there is an acceptable limit of between 0.25 and 0.5, which it says on the tool on the front. Zoom out, just there. It says it just there. So this is a good chain. Okay, so let's very quickly just how to use the chain checkers. Now obviously they're recommendations in the real world, or checking my bikes, they don't last too long before the chain is out of tolerance. I've just checked 2 others, and the Peugeot cyclocross that I've built and the Diamondback Apex that I've built, they've both hit 1,000 miles this year, just when both their chains are reading over 1% wear. Whether that's down to the way I look after the chains, I don't know. But if I was going to be replacing the chain every time it hit 0.75, the cost would start to add up. So I have got to replace them both now. So what I've got to do is, because I don't really use quick links, break this chain. So we're going to reach across it. That one was tight. Boom, there we go. And while that chain is out, we can drop the wheel out because we're going to have to change the cassette. Now this is going to be a little tricky to film. Right, you need 2 hands. Okay, so you need a chain tool. It's got a lock ring on here. You need this lock ring tool. Shimano, this one is a Park FR 5.2 and it just slots in there. And we've got to get that lock ring off. If you try and undo it, you're obviously just going to spin the cassette. So what you need is one of these. It is a chain whip, so that when you, best do it that way, I think. Yeah. So you can lock it on there, and when you do that, you can apply pressure there. The chain is holding it in place, and you can undo that ring. So I'm going to need me big. Hopefully it will come undone with this. And in this position, because I'm trying to film it at the same time. So you hold one, hold the other. There we go. So yeah, I've just had to get a lot of pressure onto that then. But now you can put that on there and continue to undo the lock ring. There you go. So there's your greasy lock ring. You can take your chain whip off, and then this will just slide right off now. Wunderbar. Okay, so this is Shimano free hub body on a Campagnolo set of rims. You can get different ones for different things, but Campi and Shimano are different fittings, so you need to be aware of that. And also, different speeds have different sized free hub bodies. But we're not going to go into that, because to replace it, you've just got to find where the narrow ring is. Where are you? Because there's a narrow ring in here, and it will only go on one way. There we go. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th ring is loose, and that just slots on there. There you go. There's actually an arrow. There's an arrow there that lines up. Duh. And then you take the lock ring, pop it back on, and you do it up to 40 Newton meters. Okay, so this socket is actually slightly too big, so I don't know if it's going to work. I've got a 27mm socket, and this, I'm not sure, is between a 20, is over 24, but less than 27. So we're just going to see if this there we go, that's 40, just there, done, changed. Okay, cassette is on. Got the new chain here, so you just need to make sure it's the same length as your old chain, if you've got one, of course. This one is actually, it's got this weird quick link on it which I have no idea how to use, so I'm just going to pop a link out and fix it properly, fix it solidly. But if you want to measure the links, this is the old chain and this is the new chain. you can just go bit by bit, just making sure they are in line until you get to the end. Okay, then we're at the end. So we're actually a couple of links shorter anyway. Cool. Let me just remove a link. Okay, everything's cleaned up. Got the chain the right size. So we're just going to feed it back through everything and link it up. Again, I'm not using a quick link because the one that's come with I don't know how to use, and the instructions don't actually tell you how to use it. Thank you, Shimano, for that. So that's going to go in there, but I've got a little device that will hold it. So we're just going to use this. Let's take a bit of slack out the chain. There we go, so we can put it together. Unwind my chain tool. And do it up. So it's a bit stiff after you've done that, so just going to unwind it a bit more and just use this second ring on here on my chain tool just to stretch them out a little bit. There we go. Let's see if it shifts. It's been a bit funny lately. Ooh, smooth. Oh, oh, it's a bit off there. Yeah. Yeah, almost spot on still. Bit of tweaking just with the back adjuster and she'll be right. One new cassette, one new chain put on. In the dark now. Blah blah blah. So yeah, that's how you check your chain wear with a tool, different tools. You can buy the cheap one, you can buy the expensive one, doesn't really matter. I mean, you can get away with riding your chain for thousands of miles. It will decrease in performance with the links getting more worn. It will also wear your cassette quicker and it will wear your chain rings quicker. My chain rings are starting to shark tooth, so we'll see how they get on. So yeah, you should replace your chain at the given intervals for a for a single speed or a 3-speed, which is a 1/8 inch change. You should do it when it gets to 1% wear. For the 5 to, oh god, what was it now? 5 to 9. Yeah, 5 to 9. When it gets to 0.75% wear, and for the 10, 11 and 12 when it gets to 0.5% wear, and that should save you shark tooth in the chain rings and replacing the cassette. Should. Haven't tested it, it's just what Park Tool recommends. So I hope you found this video useful. You can see how dark it's got now, so I'm going to pack up and head inside. But thanks for watching. Hope you come back again to watch another video, and I'll catch you in the next one.